Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Yvette Pegues, the host of disAbilityLifeTV, where we talk about disability in a way that gives you life. And we love being on the BizLinks network. Thank you so much to BizLinks, and thank you to my guest, Miss Constance Benson. We're going to talk a little bit about her disability life in a moment. So Constance.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. I cannot even fathom the blessing it was to meet you. I know when we met, it was almost like we were friends, instant friends.
Yeah.
And you shared with me your experience, which I'd love to share with the studio audience or with the viewing audience. So let's start at the age of 10. I know what I was doing at the age of 10. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing at the age of 10.
Okay. At the age of 10, I was a major tomboy. I was jumping in and out of trees, fishing, playing in the dirt, mud, just not anything that I am today.
Right.
But at the age of 10, I discovered my love for modeling.
We can see that now. You are stunning inside and out.
Thank you.
So tell us about how do you go from being a tomboy to a, quote, top model?
Okay, well, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
How I developed a love for modeling.
Okay.
Okay, one day I was playing in the living room with my toys in front of the TV watching cartoons, Saturday cartoons.
Right.
And I saw a commercial come on. And it was these beautiful, tall girls just walking down the runway. And I saw the lights and the music is do, do, do. And they were just strutting their stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be one of them.
Wow.
I didn't know what they were, but I wanted to do it. And I found out it was they were models. They were on a runway show, and they were promoting something for a like a model showcase.
Okay.
And from there, I called the number, went there, did the little competition, and I was just struck by the bug. I loved running the runway.
So wait. I hope you're listening, everyone. Am I hearing correctly that in the very moment that your dream became realized, you actually took action and have been living that dream since the age of 10? Am I hearing that right?
You're hearing that correctly.
Okay, that's a selfie moment. So we're going to do a show selfie. All right? You
All
ready?
right.
Let's do this. You're used to being in front of the cameras. All right, everybody. Smile if you're watching. All right. Excellent. Well, congratulations. I'm so excited. So what happened next?
Okay. So what happened next was I went to the modeling competitions and nothing panned out.
Wow.
Yeah. At the time when I went to the modeling competition, I lived in South Carolina, and we had traveled from South Carolina to Georgia. I didn't do well in the competition,
Wow.
and it did not pan out. So we went back to South Carolina, lived there for a while, and then my parents decided that we needed to move to Georgia.
Okay.
So when we moved to Georgia, it had been like about 3-4 years since I did the competition.
Okay.
And I told my mom, I came downstairs, I told her, I said, look, I want to model. She was like, okay, you want to model.
Right.
I was like, I want to model. And she said, I tell you what. She said, if you want to model, you prove it to me. She said, go make it happen.
Wow.
And if you go ahead and you make it happen, I'll support you.
Wow.
The minute she said that, okay, this is going to reveal my age now, okay?
Okay.
Don't tell nobody. The minute she said that, I went and got this thick yellow pages, like the big, huge yellow page. I know, girl, it was heavy. And I flipped over and I looked at the M's, and I was like, okay, model. I called every single number in that phone book.
Wow.
And I went all the way down the list, met with the different, I went down the list, called everybody, found out where exactly I needed to go and what to do and what times for open calls.
Right.
And then I brought that list right to my mom, and my mom said, okay, well, I guess we're doing this.
Wow.
And so we went down the list, and we went to every single one of those places. She talked to the people, and I came across my now agent, Gina Henry.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an amazing journey. And I'm just... I was just wanting to share that with you because what you'll hear next surprised everyone. I mean, the determination was not lost on the desire to become a model, but to become who she's always wanted to be on the inside and out. So it was 2009, and you're at Georgia State University, right here in the state of Georgia. Tell us about what happened that changed your life.
In 2009, at Georgia State University, I had my own apartment downtown. It's like probably less than 5 miles away from the school.
Okay.
And during the time when I had my apartment, I had a lot of pain.
Mm.
And so around the time of 2009, when I was at Georgia State, going back and forth from my apartment to the school, the pain was just getting worse and worse with all the classes and everything like that. So the pain became unbearable, and I just wasn't able to properly function like other college students, and it was affecting my attendance.
Tell us about the pain. Will you describe that for me, please?
Yes. Sickle cell pain, it varies from person to person, but for me, I can tell you what I've experienced.
Okay.
There's different types of pain, so bear with me.
Sure.
There is the constant pain that just stays there. It is absolutely everywhere. It is just there, and it is not going anywhere. It's like somebody just laid a blanket of pain on you, and it just stays. Then there's the pulsating pain. It goes with your heartbeat. It's like dum 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 dum, and it just goes intense, not as intense, intense, not as intense. And it goes on. Then there's the lightning in a bottle pain, where it feels like it's just lightning hitting everywhere, and the pain is just, it's unpredictable. It just goes everywhere, but it's something that you can't control.
Of course, yes.
And then there's
what happened next? Come on. Tell us what happened next.
My pain was constant. It was all the time, but it was manageable. In 2009. It just wasn't manageable enough for me to attend college.
Okay.
The pain got so bad that I took a semester off.
Right.
To go back with my parents and to kind of nurse myself back to health.
Now, did you have any help when you went back to live with your parents? Because it's kind of a big jump, right? Going from your own dorm, college. Tell us about what happened when you got back home.
Well,
tell us about that miracle.
Well, I was still a functioning adult. I had a pretty normal life, a relatively normal life, but I was in pain. I went back home with my parents because, believe it or not, both of my parents are nurses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I lucked up.
Yes, you did.
But I went back home, and my parents and we had to become more educated on my sickle cell and the transition that I was going through, because I was going from like teenager to young adulthood.
Yes.
And so my body and my disease were taking a different direction, and things were getting a little bit worse, but they were still manageable. I was still able to go out and do things, not like I could in my earlier years, my teenage years.
Right.
But I was still able to function, but just not well enough to attend my classes consistently and to be present.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because it sounds like, based on your outer appearance, you've got everything going for you. But it sounds like we're talking about an invisible disability.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to learn more about is, how did you get through it? I mean, tell us the steps toward recovery, or where you are today.
Well, in 2010, I decided to go after my dreams and pursue a modeling career. I signed a contract with Wilhelmina Models in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I started traveling back and forth, driving from here to New Jersey, where my grandmother stayed, to stay with her, to go to Philly to do jobs. I did this back and forth, 16-hour drive for about a year. Every single time whenever I went to Philadelphia, Jersey, to go to Philadelphia,
right,
and then go back to Jersey to come back to Atlanta, every single time I went to the hospital, the ER, or my doctor's office, I was always in pain. I was sick, and I would be down for about like a good 2 weeks. But then I get a call from my agent saying, hey, we got you another job. We need you up here. And I go right back up there. And I didn't let my agency know that I had sickle cell.
right.
I didn't want them to hold it against me and think that I was disabled,
Right.
that I couldn't do my job because it was my dream.
But you were born with sickle cell, right?
Yes, you're born with sickle cell.
But you chose not to disclose. And I just want to make sure we're clear on that, right? Disclosing your disability, whether it's invisible or disability, is your choice. The only time it becomes bigger than that is for accommodations, much like you had to change if Constance would have stayed in school. So your agent had no idea, no point, that you were suffering with an autoimmune disease. Is that correct?
Blood disease, but
Blood
no,
disease,
they
thank
had
you.
no idea. They had absolutely no idea.
Okay. So tell me about your treatment. What happened next? I mean, what was the part of the treatment that you'd like to share with those of us who are watching you, looking at you, and wondering how you could possibly have had a bump in your road?
Well, the only way to treat sickle cell is through hydration and pain medication. Those are the two main points: hydration and pain medication. Everything else is diet and just surface stuff. Diet and the way you wear your clothes, what you wear, keeping yourself not too hot, but then not cold either.
Wow.
So it's basically like a loose set of guidelines.
Right.
What I would do every single time whenever I would go from here, Kennesaw, the hospital in Kennesaw,
Wow.
to my grandparents' house to back here, was I would have to have my pain medications with me, and I would drink and hydrate. I get there, have pain medication, drink and hydrate, do my job, come back from the job, take the pain medications, nurse myself up enough to come back home.
I'm going to ask you another question if I can.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Someone came to me once and said, a miracle recognizes a miracle. And it was really obvious to me when I met you that you were a miracle. And I want your story to be heard on Disability Life TV. But you're so much more amazing than we can fit into this one show. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say we'll probably be doing this again, if it's okay with you. But for the sake of time, I'd love to hear a little bit about sickle cell. Explain that for us in 2 or 3 sentences or less, if it's possible. And then I'd like to hear more about your miracle. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sure. So what is it?
Okay. Sickle cell is a genetic blood disease that affects your red blood cells and its ability to carry oxygen.
Wow.
Because your red blood cells are deformed, because they don't carry the adequate amount of oxygen, they kind of look like bananas or crescents.
Okay.
And whenever you get too hot, whenever you get too cold, whenever you're dehydrated, you get anything and everything, whenever anything happens, and your veins constrict, these cells will clot because they can't go through the veins easily, and then the pain will happen, and it can either be the lightning in a bottle, constant, dull, anything and everything. It could be any and every combination under the sun, but that's basically what happens.
So does anybody else in your family have the sickle cell trait?
Not my siblings, but yes, in my larger family, on my mother's, actually on my mother's and my father's side.
Wow.
Yes, I had an aunt who died of sickle cell, I think in 2011.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, I'm really glad you're talking about this, because when we come back, we're going to talk about exactly what happened with Camille. And the reason why that's important and why Disability Life TV wants you to hear all about that, because it's truly a miracle. So when we get back, after thanking our sponsors, we'll talk a little bit more about Constance's miracle.
What happens when soldiers come home? Brene Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the Brene Foundation or visit Brene.com.
Does your son need a more challenging, focused, and encouraging educational environment? Renaissance Christian Academy is an affordable private school for boys located in McDonough, Georgia, with certified teachers that are uniquely equipped to help your son master learning. You're welcome to schedule a tour of our facilities by calling 770-305-9881 or by visiting our website at rcaboysacademy.org. Renaissance Christian Academy, developing young men to be great leaders through Christ-centered learning.
Welcome back, and thank you to our sponsors. None of this would have been possible without them. I'd like to spend some time with our special guest. Before the break, we talked about a miracle. Yes, they still exist. In fact, one of the miracles is sitting right next to me now. Tell us about your miracle and how this miracle come true is something I know our guests will be looking forward to hearing.
Okay. Traveling with the modeling, I came back, had a lot of pain, and my doctors and my parents said that I needed a bone marrow transplant. Okay. So in 2011, I think, we started going to see somebody for a bone marrow transplant at Emory, and we started the process. Then on October 30th, 2012, I had my bone marrow transplant.
Wow. Tell us about your bone marrow transplant. That was pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. It was rough. My little sister, Samantha, she was my donor.
Wow.
She was 100% matched, 10 out of 10. And it was just amazing. It was nothing but God. But my little sister was my donor. And we had the bone marrow transplant at Emory University Hospital. So I was in Emory University Hospital, and she was in Eggleston Hospital, which is right across the street. They got the bone marrow directly from her and brought it right over to me. And I had it less than like 2-3 hours after they extracted it from her across the street.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but so part of your baby sister is actually living in your bones and helping your body? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is what you're hearing.
It's pretty amazing. It is. And there's nothing like having someone who loves you that much and who will do that much so that you can be that much. And you are. You're that much. And I thank you so much for being candid and sharing this with us, because there's something else you did. Tell us about that. What did your treatment mean to the medical community as a whole?
Well, my treatment was unique because I was the first person ever in the world cured of sickle cell anemia under the STRIDE HCT bone marrow transplant. Wow. I am the 10th, well, at the time, because they've since cured a lot of people because of the success.
Exactly.
I was the 10th person, 10th adult in the world cured of the disease.
Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Cured of the disease. And what's beautiful about how you're presenting this is it wasn't an easy journey. It's a blood disease that you were born with. And you can pass on to other people. But instead of passing on disease, you're passing on nuggets of truth. You're passing on your experience. You're making the world better than it was when you got here. And to think that you can do that through the pain that I know you're in, sometimes even as you sit before me, is just so overwhelmingly wonderful. And I know you've done great things with it. So tell us about what you've done since getting that program. I think was it the first time that it was being used, or under the conditions?
Yes, I am the first person cured under this study.
Got it.
It was a bone marrow transplant study, and I had to have chemotherapy, like aggressive chemotherapy to destroy my immune system, so they could wipe out me and my sickle cells to replace it with my little sister's sickle cells.
Got it.
So I was in an extreme amount of pain when this happened.
Okay.
And even shortly thereafter, the bone marrow transplant, I was in pain. But as of today, 2015, I don't have any pain.
Oh my God. Say that again for the audience.
I don't have any pain.
Oh my goodness. She doesn't have any pain. I mean, to have grown through that instead of just going through that is what we see here. You know, it's more than just hair and makeup. Your light is shining from within. And I think in 2013 you did something that our virtual audience would like to hear about. Tell us about that.
In 2013, I created a website called Road2TheCure. And the purpose of my website was to share my story, all of my story, because I recorded every single part of my journey. It was emotional, it was trying, and I was like, I'm going to look back on this, I'm going to remember this. Exactly. You know, because just in case the chemo affect my brain, I'm going to remember this.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And blackmail for my family, just in case, you know, anything goes funny.
The same family that gave her bone marrow, she's thinking of blackmailing. How is that?
Oh, yeah. Be like, girl, you remember, you saved my life. Come on, girl, help me.
Speaking of help, you're really helping a lot of people with this website. How has that changed the way that you heal and support other people through their healing process?
Well, it's amazing. You go from having sickle cell, you have a disease, to then they tell you that medically you don't have it anymore.
Wow.
So you go from being the person who is in the bed to being somebody who's like an outsider, and you can give somebody with sickle cell advice.
Right.
I just want to bring people into my world, all the people who have sickle cell.
Yeah.
I want them to know, God, life, it can be so beautiful, so easy.
Exactly.
I never would have imagined that I would be able to wake up and go a full day without any pain, let alone a week, let alone months. Like, I have a life.
Oh, you have more than a life. You have a D-life. And that's disability life. And I'd love to share with you something we do at the end of every show.
Yes.
But before we do that, do you have any short closing words or a message that you'd like to share with our virtual audience?
Yes. Sickle cell is not a death sentence. There are treatments out there, but there is also a cure out there. And I want any of you guys who might have sickle cell or know somebody who does have sickle cell, or a coworker, anybody, I want you guys to know that there is hope. There is hope. There is hope. Do not give up. You can do it. You can defeat it.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if my D-Life Diamond can compare, but the one thing I do want to share with our virtual guests is that D-Life is something we do at the end of every show. It's a diamond, it's a nugget, it's a jewel that we were able to capture during this programming that we can share with others. Mm-hmm. It's a challenge, it's an action item, it's anything you want it to be, but with the emphasis on the diamond and the different facets of a diamond and how we're all different but we're all brilliant. Yeah. So with that, I'd love to invite you to share in my D-Life Diamond today. I will start and say something briefly and give us just a nugget of truth. I'll give you enough time to think about it.
Okay.
So as your host, Yvette Pegues on D-Life TV, your D-Life Diamond for tonight is don't give up. Continue to be hopeful. And you never have to be hopeless. They're two different things. And a lot of people in the disability community recognize that, yes, they were given a diagnosis, but it's up to you to believe the prognosis. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our guest for our final words and our D-Life Diamond.
Well, my D-Life Diamond, I don't know if it could compare to yours. I should probably went first.
Well, we can work on that.
But my D-Life Diamond is that as long as you're breathing, as long as you're alive, you have the ability to make your dreams happen. Don't let your disability cripple you. You can conquer it. You can turn it and make it your power source.
Ooh, I love it. Go on, Power Sorcerer.
What's up, girl?
So, D-Lifers, that's it for this episode. I'm sure you'll play it over and over. Start, rewind, stop, and then start, rewind again. Because, again, we had Constance Benson. She is a survivor and overcomer. And may I please add a D-Lifer? Is that fair?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I'm a D-Lifer. Whoa.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next.